To the BTS coverage of the Shanghai Major Qualifiers. We're going to be going on into game two. We saw perhaps the best game so far of the qualifiers in the last series. I couldn't get through it. I'm sorry.
We
It
had
was
the best detective novel of the qualifiers, trying to figure out what happened with the perfect world lag. I think it was a moderate success. We did solve the crime. We went full Encyclopedia Brown on that shit, but
hmm
I would like to actually watch a game without lag, so hopefully Perfect World will deliver. Avengers looking pretty solid there. I think Newbee's execution was lacking. The draft was a little risky. It was very contingent on the first few ultimates working out, and they got mediocre results. So hopefully they pull it together in game two so we can get a game three.
Yeah, it just kind of felt unpolished, unpracticed. It definitely was something that I'm sure, could work in some situation, but just the execution wasn't on point with it. I felt like they were at a disadvantage going into it, and Medusa just kind of got to slow roll it. I mean, they kind of just ran into them, broke like water on rock, and I feel like Newbie need to find more crisp execution, precise strikes if they're going to try to bring it to a game three.
Well, and with that, we'll see if they're going to be able to make it start right in the draft, which I do believe we have up and ready to go for all you fine folks out there. And here we go, Game 2, CDEC.A facing off against Newbie. The winner of this one is going to go on to face IGV, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. And the winner of that will go to the major. So Newbie, back to their old tricks. They're going to go with their tried and true Juggernaut Lion. We've seen them turn back to this opening repeatedly after losing game one. We saw it against LGD. They lose game one. They go Jug Lion the next time. It worked out pretty well. But they are banning the Earth Spirit, so Avengers get the Night Stalker, which is generally first phase ban against them. This is a lot to give up. We'll see if it gets punished.
So a very telling aspect of the draft here for CDEC Avengers, not only in this match but in subsequent ones, assuming they win, is whether or not they go for Faceless Void anyways. Because obviously they have multiple strategies. Some of them rely on single target focus and ganking, like with this Night Stalker. They have run support Night Stalker before, so of course they can run the offlane Void with it, but really is it worth it? And they say no. They say Medusa for flyby once again worked out just sublime in game number one. And although Hao's Juggernaut as well as Chuan's Lion is very well versed and very well practiced, it still means that they have to collaborate and initiate and find the opportunity to jump on this Medusa.
Absolutely, and I think it just shows the amount that they believe in this hero right here. The fact that they're able to go back with it in the first phase. I was wondering if we were going to see a faceless of their own, considering they sort of were able to give up that Night Stalker, feeling like the Earth Spirit was a little bit too much, though. And I'm really curious to see how the rest of this draft pans out. It's interesting because you commit a lot right now, the off laner and the safe laner for Avengers. Do you think that that's maybe giving away too much information too early?
Technically, yes. It's a kind of bad practice to open up so heavily in phase one and essentially put all your cards on the table. You know the tempo Medusa, you know the tempo Night Stalker, Night Cycle very significantly dictates the pace of how CDEC Avenger are going to operate, but at the same time, I think that they're just so confident with these kind of heroes that they know by heart. Flyby played perfectly fine on the Medusa. We can question that build all day, but he had absolutely no trouble dealing with the aggression. And the Night Stalker isn't something they pick notoriously. So all in all, yes, it shows a little bit more information to Newbie than they'd probably like, but they have the pieces in play that they want to succeed.
10 seconds remaining.
They do ban the Void second stage. Honestly, the Void was pretty big non-factor, so they will go for the Nyx ban now on the side of Avengers. Mana Burn's great against Dusa. I don't really think there's much of another reason to ban it.
I think maybe they think
Invoker's still available,
that
though.
Spotty's got a bit of a better Void performance than Tule in general. Like, they're afraid of CDEC Avengers just being in their comfort zone. But honestly, I would not find Void very valuable alongside the Night Stalker Medusa. It's a good strat in some situations, but it's definitely not a hero you want to pick every draft. And with the Medusa, I feel like you want to shift the tempo a little bit.
I talked last game about potentially a PL getting picked up by Newbie. Considering we've already seen the Juggernaut, it seems less likely. Do you think that there's any possible way that we end up seeing it this time, or one of those other Diffusal Blade carriers, or is Juggernaut enough of a candidate to be able to take on Medusa on his own?
Diffusal Blade carriers is one question, the PL is another. Absolutely not on the Phantom Lancer. They're going to ban out the Nyx Assassin with the natural mana burn. So there's a chance we see a Diffusal Blade either on the Jug or on another hero, but Yeah, no, I don't feel like there's any reason or any incentive to go for the Phantom Lancer whatsoever.
Okay. Well, DP going to get taken. Soul Siphon abound, and we've talked a
Uh-oh.
lot about this hero and its versatility in the China and not really being able to be up to par.
I mean, they haven't picked their mid yet, so we've seen Death Prophet's laning is pretty underwhelming a lot of the time. At least has been underwhelming in this qualifier. We've seen Lina be really effective against the Death Prophet. Razor is banned, Invoker is banned. Those are probably two of the other big ones. There's still like a Viper out there, I suppose, but nobody really seems to value Viper right now, so I definitely think Avengers may be considering Lina at this point.
Definitely. That's pretty high value. Keep your distance. I have the heavy nuke damage potential. And in general, if you're trying to dodge Light Striker Rays while also being worried about the Stone Gaze, you're going to be caught in one or the other. It feels like CDEC Avenger with something like Alina are going to be able to have a nice mix of control as well as damage. For now, though, they want to flesh out their support pool, and we've actually seen this Night Stalker Rubik duo picked up a lot by some of the B teams in China. FTDB, this is actually the thing that they opened with like 9 times out of 10 in 6.84, so it's a common duo that we've seen. It definitely promotes aggression early. Still could see the Night Stalker Iron Talon off lane, but if they do run the Rubik and Night Stalker together, it's something that we've seen run successfully many times in the past.
Well, and with just having the Medusa as the other hero there, you leave yourself open to play off of whatever newbie drafts next and see what would be the best fit for you. I also like the other thing we didn't really talk about is the long duration silence you got coming out there from Night Stalker. It's going to be really good considering maybe being able to catch the Lion as he blinks on in. It's going to need to be a battle of quick fingers, and obviously Lion being the one that's initiating more often than not is going to be able to respond more quickly, but something to keep your eye on there. If there's going to be an outplay, that might be one of the places that you happen to see it. Also the Rubik with the instant lockdown, but Spearbreaker now going to be taken.
Spearbreaker, not bad this game. Isn't really that good against Medusa, I would say, in general. Not a hero you're really going to be able to kill. Night Stalker, he's good at kind of the way we've seen Spearbreaker played against Bounty Hunter historically over the past like 6 to 8 months. Same thing against Night Stalker. It gets to be the time when he wants to gank. You see him at the map at all, you charge him, you can keep tabs on him. So that's nice, but you're not really killing him easily. Rubik has an instant disable to cancel the charge. Probably top 2 or 3 supports to counter Spearbreaker. Interesting to see the Clockwork grabbed here. I guess they just want someone who's fairly farm independent, and we don't know what their mid is just yet. This does pretty much seal it as a support Night Stalker.
The Clockwork has some strength in the fact that he can make sure that you can secure initiation. The Medusa, a lot of times, she pops Stone Gaze, everybody runs away, and that just resets the fight and resets the cooldown. So they want to be able to make sure that a fight is committed to, and either a Night Stalker running in, voiding somebody, or a Clockwork connecting with hook cogs is going to guarantee that one hero is being picked off, and if they try to fight it, they're fighting into the Stone Gaze and having more issues therein. Overall, the Spearbreaker pick, although it is stronger in China, I would say, than any other region, I would say that it's just not that valuable here. We'll see what they can do with it.
I was just about to say they can Darkseer here.
Yeah.
Darkseer Spearbreaker. That makes it a lot scarier.
It definitely does. I would say it doubles the value of the pick, but even
Also
so,
nice with Juggernaut. I think that trio works really well together, and now they've got the vacuum into a pail, and well, the Lina I mentioned does come out, but it is a last pick Lina, so also somewhat explains the Clockwork pick, getting something that is a little more farm independent, because they've already got a fairly greedy support duo in Rubik Night Stalker.
Well, here we go on into Game 2. We're going to see if Avengers is going to be able to take down Newbee and secure their way on over into the next round of the playoffs. It does really feel like at least now you've got the early aggression coming from Newbee, and that's going to be the way they hope to potentially deal with this Medusa, is being able to shut her down a bit more in lane, apply the pressure, and maybe take something off the back of it with that DP ulti. Not sure if it's going to end up working out for them, but at least it does feel like they're responding pretty well with the a clear strategy for the Medusa.
It's a much safer draft for Newbee. They can fight quite a bit earlier. They have more pressure on the lanes. Their cooldowns are... some of their cooldowns are pretty high, but even when, like, say, the Jug ult's on cooldown, he still brings a lot to fights. Same with Darkseer, even without a wall in the early to mid game. So I think Newbee's draft is overall less prone to like dramatic swings and either dominating or being totally useless.
Not something you'll hear very often, but I'm actually really excited to look into the early warded game here for CDEC.A. I feel like especially with the Spear Breaker and his potential rotation on the Lina, vision is extremely important. We already see Rubik prioritizing the TP to mid. He drops one just on the high ground on the Dire side, and then he actually moves over into the jungle and finds a pretty solid one towards that bottom rune area, which might help out the Clockwork or prevent Chuan from rotating and finding his own kind of kill opportunities. So overall, I like these wards, and I think they're extremely important for CDEC Avengers getting the right start here in game number 2.
Definitely, and I think also another key hero in this game is going to be the Darkseer, and making sure that he doesn't get shut down early. Like, the fact that they're trying to pressure quickly means that they want to get that level 4 Ion Shell up, so that way they're going to be able to do the extra bit of damage there with the Jug. I mean, obviously Jug does do a lot without that ulti yet, but he's able to give that much more damage output if he's that strong force with the Ion Shell on top of him, trying to chase down heroes. Probably, I would imagine we see phase boots out of him this time around. I mean, it's pretty much been the ultimate build for him consistently. But do you imagine we're going to see a Battle Fury?
Yeah, I think Hal generally will go Battle Fury. I think every game he's played Jug, he's gone Battle Fury, so I'd be surprised if we don't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still kind of on the same page you were talking about with the Void before, where you could actually get a lot of value out of the Manta Diffusal build-up. I think Juggernaut with the Manta style here could actually do a lot more than without. But yeah, the build-up prior to that is what comes into question. Does he go Battle Fury into Manta Diffusal? Does he go for just a more standard build with Assange and Yasha? I'm curious how he actually builds to counteract the Avengers lineup.
Yeah, it'll come down to how the early lanes develop.
Sure.
If they're rolling, then almost certainly Hal will go Battle Fury. If they're struggling, maybe he changes it up.
Well, trading right clicks as well as spells there, and the Earth Spike hits, the cogs do not. At least for now, Clockwork's going to walk away from that one, but still getting an experience. They're not going to be able to push him out of lane super easily, at least for the first couple of levels, I wouldn't imagine, considering they're having the Spear Breaker out of lane.
Yeah, I think Newbee supports might actually have some economy issues here, because you're going to have to see a lot of movement on the map early on, but more importantly, the fact is Chuan cannot go jungle, he cannot go pull, because the second he does, the Clockwork gets to walk up to the Juggernaut and cog him, and then mana burn is brutal for Juggernaut in the early game. So I actually feel like Chuan is glued to the lane, he's in full zoning mode, maybe he rotates to grab a quick the Bounty Rune bottom or something, but in general, he's not going to be farming the way a Lion prefers to.
Yeah, it definitely has to spend more time zoning, at least early on. But they also have kill potential in Clockwork, so.
Interesting. I believe those are both sentries.
Yeah, I mean, the server does seem a bit less laggy so far, knock on wood, but I guess not lag-free enough to allow us to actually see the
Going
wards
down,
on the
there's
map.
the salve, keeping him alive. Might have dove a little bit too
Turnaround.
deep
The
for this
outplay,
one.
is September going to feed? It does look like it. Hey, buddy, it's January, it's a new year, and you dead.
All right.
Get with the times, my friend.
Ringing in 2016 with blood.
Well, that was a very silly death.
Yeah.
He does have to walk back now, but yet again, I mean, first blood on this Darkseer. We talked about the importance of him having a good start. To me, at least now, he's got 800 gold in the bank. Finish off that soul ring, come back to lane. Happy as a clam.
If you see the salve on the Darkseer, I don't think you go for that dive.
Yeah.
And he definitely knew he had a salve. So that was a little greedy, gets punished. Pretty unfortunate, considering we've seen a lot of Darkseers really struggle, but this is the kill potential we talked about bottom. Very easy to kill a clock once you have the move speed advantage. You get the first stun. Cogs are useless against Jug, and the Blade Fury will do full damage. So, pair of nice kills for a Newbee. Off to a much better start. Again, this is kind of their, shit, we need a win right now strat. Get the early Lion Jug and then just hope for some quick kills.
Doing work already, and you're going to have face boots pretty soon on that Juggernaut, which puts a
Looks
lot
like
of pressure on the
charging
clock.
mid. Might be able to get Mr. No-No. They get the Siphon, and that is a third kill. Newbee are heating up.
So one thing about this, though, is that you expect last game, CDEC Avengers were ahead when you weren't expecting it. This time, I do think that with the early pressure, you expect Newbee to be ahead. I would be really afraid if Medusa wasn't getting any farm right now, but she's still having a decent time up top. Do you think that really she's going to be able to carry the game if the rest of her team doesn't make space for her, though?
That's a hard question to answer here. Only 4
Yeah.
minutes into the game. I feel like all that remains to be seen. Yeah.
Can you see the future?
I believe in you, Blaze. You got all the picks down.
I mean, Dursa cannot 1v5 against a Darkseer Jug
Right.
Lion. They have Omni Slash is great against Stone Gaze. Death Prophet's ult is still going to do tons of damage. It's not a 1v5 game. The team needs to play well around the Dusa. They need to create space at night with the Night Stalker. The Clockwork's ganks have to be successful. Can Dusa out carry these heroes with support? Yes, but she can't solo carry the game. This isn't like one of those games where there's an Ember and there's 0 disables for him.
So do you think we're actually seeing a similar mentality for Mu in terms of the Troll Warlord versus the Death Prophet? Both are very focused on single target physical damage output, bringing down towers and Roshan early in terms of objective. Obviously very different heroes otherwise, but do you feel like Newbee is in this patch and in this tournament trying to make sure that they're getting early objectives through their mid lane?
I just find them very schizophrenic. Like they lose a game, suddenly they go to their safe heroes, which seem to work more consistently, and then they win a game and they want to experiment and go very, off the wall with the troll jug, or sorry, the troll void that we saw last game.
Well, I'd say it's better than IG swapping roles in game 2.
Of the first match of the qualifier, yeah, I definitely agree with you there. But
Well, and the other thing that's weird about all of this too is that, like, if you think about moving forward further, showing around a lot of the strats that you're playing with, to me it seems like it's a little bit odd also, because you want to be able to, when the major eventually comes, possibly have something up your sleeve. Of course, it's still a long ways away before the.
Yeah. I don't think
major
anybody
itself.
is worrying about the major strats, the metagame that the major involves, because there's just so much time between the qualifiers and the actual event. They're willing to show everything here if it gets them into the main event.
yeah, I mean, I still think the main exception was LGD, but outside of LGD,
Okay,
who's
that's fair.
very likely to qualify no matter what they did, outside of full betting against themselves and throwing matches. But yeah, otherwise I agree. Most teams are looking to secure their position before they worry about saving strats.
Clockwork going down again thanks to the phase boots. No Omni Slash required there. He actually just picked up level 6, but they do find that Chuan stun along with the spin, and yeah, phase boots makes Clockwork's life pretty fragile.
Maybe he gets that Iron Talon. He's not getting his levels. That's the big. If he's feeding like this, but he's level 5, I think you're fine with it. But the fact that he's getting zoned and then feeding as well is a real concern for Avengers.
That's a really rough lane right now, and just completely avoiding it at this point. He's grouping up right now with the Night Stalker. I'm not really
The
sure
river is
exactly what the
lava.
idea is.
The river is lava, guys.
Smoked up, I thought I heard, and now going to move on over into the jungle. Possibly going to see if they can pick off the Lion.
Yeah, mid lane is pushed for this wave, so if they can get something done in like the next 20 seconds, that's an ideal time to strike. Looks like they're about to jump the Death Prophet. Meanwhile, we are busy watching rune spawns.
No, it's a minute away. He's got a 60-second advance on this one.
I just see a random pink thing appear on the screen, but I guess that's just perfect world.
Yep. Well, that's a more recent bug no matter what the region. It's just like the mini-map's wrong half the time on runes, but we do see the Death Prophet gank fail. The smoke is gone, and
They didn't actually see it, but they seem to be very wise to it. And it is nighttime, so
yeah,
good map sense by Newbee. Just
definitely.
expecting the Night Stalker movements. When you win the lanes like this against the Night Stalker, you could just double down on they are going to gank because they can't afford to play static farm.
Well, continuing to try and farm on up there. Medusa's still the top of the net worth. 50 and 16 versus the 48 and 19. Relatively even there, and really across the board, I think the only difference that we've been seeing is the off lanes here, where it does look like the Darkseer, after picking up that first blood, as well as getting a decent amount of farm, has been able to get a couple of levels and building his way towards that mechanism.
I see a slightly different build from Chuan here, going for the Tranquil Boots early on. I guess he's just not going to be able to rush out the Blink Dagger as quickly, maybe. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a worse start for him, but in general, I guess the Blink initiation isn't the most critical aspect, because they've still got the Spirit Breaker, the Darkseer to get in position early on. Yeah, the Lion just needs to be mobile and active.
Harder to cast the Juggernaut. That's my
Just wait.
That's my assessment of the situation.
He's almost got the finger. You just wait.
All right, Ion Shell level 3. I'm about to be level 4. Double Ion Shell level 4 can kill pretty much anything.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I did talk about earlier the economic deficit the Lion is facing here. Essentially, he's trading a lack of net worth of himself for Clockwork. He's making sure Clockwork shut down, but in doing so, makes sure that his progression is limited.
Absolutely, and I think that the state of the game is going to be trying to keep him from getting that 6 as long as possible, so that way they're not able to make that rotation in the gank. But he's found himself a nice little hidey hole over here where he's hopefully not going to end up getting killed, and maybe picking up some much-needed levels. Also, him off the map maybe makes... it probably doesn't make anybody really worried.
Let's charge on
considering he's on
Medusa
6.
here.
They are committing for this one. Flyby fairly tanky, but with the Spirit Siphon as well as the wall drop, they get him, and now they look for a bit more. Turning on to No, who says, stop, leave me alone. There's no hook. I mean, Clockwork is just horrendously underleveled and irrelevant at this stage of the game.
Can they actually get the tower here? I mean, they've obviously brought a lot up. The Exorcism still has maybe
No, I don't think
10
so.
seconds?
Exorcism is down.
Okay.
They do go through the wall too, which, I mean, I guess it gives them a barrier so that way if they wanted to retreat, they wouldn't be chased down. So that's something. But
I'm just thinking about the fact that like the Night Stalker is a Daywalker, the Lena's out of mana. Like there's actually very little CDEC can do in that situation other than just bring the Medusa back.
It's just too slow when you don't have the Death Prophet ult.
Yeah.
There's no, it's not even efficient enough to be worth taking the tower. I think they're winning the lane so hard, like they just go back to farming, wait for the ults to cool down, go kill again.
Perseverance up on the Juggernaut, currently top of the net worth. And while Medusa's CSing has been pretty good, everything else hasn't been exactly the best, and dying there certainly does not help with that. It looks at this point like Juggernaut's just going to be able to be free to farm. I mean, you don't really need him in these team fights as all. As we talked about a bunch of times, the Ion Shell makes up for the lack of damage from your carry being there, I think, if the Spirit Breaker gets in on top of somebody. So, me at least, it feels like the team is making enough space for him while keeping the oppression up on the top lane.
There's actually no way to pressure the Juggernaut without hookshot as well. Like he's always going to be able to disengage pretty cleanly. You can't close distance hard enough. A Night Stalker at nighttime with darkness might be able to get crippling fear before the Juggernaut sees it coming, but for the most part, the Jug's going to be safe and sound.
And now Chuan gets the lane to himself too.
Good stuff. Night Stalker, despite being a support, has picked up an Iron Talon. So while the Clockwork is struggling, the Night Stalker should be pulling ahead gradually.
Oh, you say that, but
Look at the net worth. Like
That's
Night Stalker's
nuts.
already above him.
pulling ahead is a strong turn of phrase for bottom 3 net worth.
Comparatively speaking.
All right, he's dumpstering the Rubik with almost 400 net worth more.
It's a rough life
Just
for the
you
supports.
wait. He's gonna be. I don't know. I can't even say fifth.
He's going to be 6 in net worth.
They're
like 10 minutes from now.
they're in disastrous straits. It's first night did nothing. Second night coming up soon. They still do not have hookshot, and even if they get it, who are you killing?
Yeah,
Death Prophet's
everybody's pretty
tanky.
Get the Lion for
All
sure.
the tier 1s are up. The Lion is a kill if you see him, as the rocket flies towards the top lane.
Oh.
And Darkseer can probably just tank through it, so there's not many kill options. And Newbee, they know it. They're omniing, diving for September.
Wow.
Quick solo kill. How? No mercy. Killing Spear already.
Yeah, Clockwork does find that solo kill on the Lion as we were talking about, but actually has some help as the telekinesis.
Solo triple kill. Here we
The
go.
Lion was solo. The Lion was by himself. That's the important thing.
I think also, though, that you take a look at the way that Night Stalker support, it functions a lot more, as we do have the charge up here. I don't think that they're going to be able to find a kill here, just harassing away Flyby. But he ended up getting nerfed in terms of the damage that Void does up until it gets to level 4. And considering you're the support Night Stalker, you're not getting those levels. So even if you did try and make those early rotations with some extra help, I don't think it's an easy kill, regardless of whoever you go on there.
Everything going according to plan for Newbee. Battle Fury about to come out. Death Prophet getting her farm. Darkseer had a great time in the off lane. All the Spirit Breaker ganks have worked. It's all according to plan, aside from Chuan not having his blink yet, which we've actually seen Chuan with his blink more often than not at this stage as Lion, which is kind of ridiculous. But he will die bottom, so Avengers getting a little bit accomplished.
Yeah, well, they get a great ward out here because Chuan just put one in the central jungle, the sentry ward. They get the obs in the northwest there, and they're actually going to be able to get the intel they want. And Newbee are going to have a hard time actually getting control of that position.
Battle Fury almost completed for Mr. Juggernaut down in the... It's actually up here in the top lane now. Just completely and totally taking over as they're going to take the tower and really constrict this Medusa's farm. They do have the TPs coming in now, seeing if they can make something happen here. Rubik is going to be able to get the lift, but I don't
This
think
could
they
be
have
big,
the
actually.
damage.
That's a nice kill. Tule completely caught out of position,
God.
and looks like they will just sack him. Le wanted to save Tule, but last second changes his mind.
Juggernaut's still here, though. He thinks that he can accomplish something, but the Crippling Fear has just come off cooldown. A hook shot is available. The Clockwork is still in bottom lane.
He doesn't have Omni for a couple seconds. Actually, about to come
Everybody's there.
It's really risky to dive the Jug.
Haste Rune on Death Prophet actually could be immense here. The exorcism
And
just
Atos.
cooldown. Yeah, just pick that up as well. But just being able to move in max movement speed, you don't have to worry about the Medusa whatsoever in terms of like her stone gaze. You can maneuver around that very effectively. I feel like this, if they were looking for a fight there, the haste rune actually could be a huge factor in Newbee's success.
Why do you think they didn't go for that one? They did have Exorcism up. Everybody was around the area, and they kind of back off.
It's tough. I mean, everybody else is still vulnerable to the stone gaze. Diving against the Medusa is a scary thing indeed, and I think they're just happy with how things have gone. They don't want to take too many risks and give CDEC the chance to turn it. Right now, Hao is farming faster than Medusa and will be for quite some time.
Yeah, and they just completed Battlefield on Jug. Like they're about to start accelerating the farm curve, so you don't want to take unnecessary risks.
6-3, the current score. 15 minutes in, Battle Fury completed, and the Medusa still getting. She has only died one time, so it's not the complete and total end of the world. But if things keep going as they have, it does really feel like
There's the
Avengers
hook
gonna be in that
bottom.
spot.
Looks like they want to make a move. Charge coming on to Mr. Spotty. They did manage to stun the Lina as Chuan dove in way too deep. He will be punished for this. They throw the Spear Breaker up in the air. Laguna Blade's available. That's a secondary kill. Newbee biting off way more than they could chew.
And in the meantime, Medusa gets free farm up top. Like, I feel like this actually breaks down a lot of Newbee's potential pressure unless they're able to, on respawn, make some turnaround TPs. But I'm sure, of course, the experience of the carry player, CDEC should be able to just back off and do what they need to take advantage of the 2 kills.
Mamma mia.
Look at that jungle. You can just see all of it right here. It's lovely.
At least we're not using the desert terrain.
That's true. Oh, jeez.
That just looks like a field of poop.
Pretty much. Tar pits. That's what they're called. And we're going to be seeing the mechanism picked up now on the Darkseer. So possibly an opportunity here to regroup again, but it does feel a little bit scary. I mean, they've got the Ion Shell up. They've got Juggernaut Omni Slash. Considering he went for the Battle Fury, I don't think that he necessarily wants to be involved in these kills, but if they could find a pick on this Medusa, it'd be really big.
I mean, how do you accomplish that, though?
Yeah.
Like, as long as she has her ulti, she's very confident. Magic Wand is actually huge here. Like, 10 charges right now. She'd probably get the other 7 when they go for the engagement. And the amount of HP and mana you get, which translates into HP, that here is actually so hard to bring down unless you already know that CDEC are committed elsewhere.
Now the smoke forward. It looks like they realize that they're here. It breaks on the Rubik. Not quite revealing Spirit Breaker, but they should know he's in
Nobody
the area.
sees each other now. Too late. And meanwhile, the counterplay. Invis Death Prophet sneaking in.
And it's so clutch when you can actually pop the Exorcism and pop the Invis Rune and just stay on top of people, but I'm sure CDEC have the response where we've seen a lot of Sentry Wards going out, so just one can nullify that completely.
And they're backing. They're going to sack this tower. It makes sense. Like, with the Exorcism up, it's a little bit too scary to go into him, but it does look like Rubik is going to run into DP, and they're just going to walk away from each other, it looks like, for the moment.
Lina Yules makes things very difficult to in terms of getting aggressive and getting involved. It feels like every time you're just going to be turned on with a hard stun. Juggernaut's the only exception, but in general, right now, Newbee are not as confident as they were in terms of their fight potential, and they're going to go for a smoke in spite of that. They really just need to get a quick pick, and the Rubik looks to be it.
You dare question me? Here we go.
But like
yeah, meanwhile, in the Dire jungle, where the kill is happening.
No, I'm not so sure. We'll see. Yeah, they do get him. Like,
Come on.
but the one thing is the Juggernaut walked through the Dire Ward, so I figured the Rubik would have been like, I should probably fucking get out of here. This is not a good spot to be. But they go. He stays, I think, to stack a camp, and at risk, he does go down.
Could be a big Rubik game. We have not talked at all about that, but there's a lot of good spells to steal. It just unfortunately is poverty level.
Yeah. But I mean, just even basic spells here. Like, I love playing Rubik against Death Prophet, just stealing Crypt Swarm. She's all push, and you're suddenly an anti-push with the Crypt Swarm steal, as long as you have the mana to support it.
They have quite good deep push even before that. Rocket, Snake, Slave. And now the hook comes through. Is going to grab out Moo. Can they finish him off the bat? They do blast him down the walls there. But Flyby just pushes his way right through them, forcing himself upon Newbee. They shotgun down Chuan. Take that.
Oh, Omni Slash stolen!
Can he make the plays? He will onto Tule. It's enough for the kill. The swag comes out as the Avengers flex on Newbee. The lone survivor is the most important hero right now for the old veteran squad. The Jug, but that was an absolute train wreck of a fight.
It seemed like they felt they were so much tankier than they were, and the Spirit Breaker going for the Nether Strike in on top of the Medusa when she was at full mana and full HP, it seemed a little bit questionable. At that time, I guess they were just a little bit too committed for it.
They know that they can't really afford to lose fights in this position. I mean, they've got Darkseer, Juggernaut, Death Prophet. Like, at this timing window, you want to be just taking huge engagements. But just the quick jump from CDEC, the quick focus down on the Death Prophet, she's only got, like, the Atos to work with. So
I can't believe how fast she dropped, though.
Yeah.
They hooked her, and then... I mean,
stuff happened with the perfect world.
yeah, I didn't even see what... It's like, she had full health prior to that hook.
I mean, they cast a bunch of spells on her. Void hit her with the Mystic Snake as well. And
Maybe they need a Force Staff for Newbie.
that would actually be really good.
The hook seems to be doing a lot in these fights.
What's Lion going for? Is he going for the... Has he already finished his Blink Dagger?
No, he's actually really far behind. Like, right now he's only 33-40. So, and he has Tranquil Boots. He might be close to Blink, but he doesn't have it yet.
I wonder if it'd be worth it to go for the Force Staff first instead.
I actually think that that's very true, because the Clockwork is, like I said in the draft, setting up the fight so that if you try to counter initiate, you're walking into Stone Gaze. It's an impossible situation.
Looks like there's maybe engagement or people rotating down to the bottom lane at least.
Newbie trying to back up Hal, but CDEC maybe trying to push with the Medusa. I think they're confident after that fight. They're not going to give up towers anymore. At least not without the brute force coming into play. They get the ward down. Hal has Omni. Blink ready as well. The charge coming out onto Spotty, and he jumps in. Omni coming through. Will he finish off anybody? September is gone. And that'll be a clean pick. Not sure it leads to a tower.
Oh, he got Omni again. Or
No,
was that
so
the
same
last
one.
time?
He's got 30 seconds left on it.
Okay. Well, the disengage after the Night
They
Stalker.
really wanted to fight with that Omni, but I guess did Clocky's hook? I didn't even hear it.
I guess he did. Yeah.
Must have cast in, just didn't get the sound.
Oh, Stolen Exorcism? Are you serious?
Oh,
Victoria,
God?
Jeez.
Oh my, indeed! The Stolen Exorcism going to work here. Spotty's going to charge, and he drops the cogs right on top of Moo, and they're almost able to finish Moo off immediately. Flyby drives through and gets the job done on 3. Now looking for a 4th hero. They're melting. Newbee can't stand against the mighty Avengers.
Holy crap.
When do we give Victoria the crown?
When he takes down FY, I think.
Honestly, though, the stealing it and then also getting that with the Stone Gaze, the double damage, or the increased damage, I rather should say, it's so immense that you get from there. And I don't know. I think that at this point in time, if you're Newbee, it's sort of a similar situation where you're expecting to be ahead with this draft. So what do you do at this point?
Stop feeding Rubik ultis.
Play better. Play better.
Like, LD, I was on the same page with you as far as this was a really good Rubik game, but I could not imagine
He had a
how
terrible
well
start. Look at his net worth. He's still behind Sean's Lion. Like, he's just outplaying them. This is not. This is just pure outplay.
With level 1 spell steal, I mean, it's all working out for
They just
them.
need to focus him a little more. Like they have gap closers. They have ways to deal with him.
the Grand Magus doesn't care about your trifles and your gold.
His
He just-
positioning has been good, but I think Newbie have gotten really lazy and sloppy with some of their casting.
10 to 13. Medusa catching on up with Mr. Juggernaut, and She farms pretty fast as well. Does already have that Lincoln's completed a long time ago. And for you at least, is it always
Ooh.
Scotty next?
That's a comeback Midas and clock.
Oh.
Is it? Is that an ultra late armlet?
It's an odd position to be in.
I think CDEC might want to take this late. Just in terms of the itemization.
Mid to late. Yeah, well, yeah, they got the Medusa, so of course they're going to look for that. Right now they're going to be able to control the mid game still pretty well.
Well, and like looking at their
The Axe?
timings, because Night Stalker Ag's just about to come online.
Hmm.
Gonna get the level 2 ult. Dusa still has a couple items she's gonna want to build before they really force the fights.
No, they'll play pretty classic Night Stalker. They'll just, during the nighttime, control the map, and otherwise just kind of build themselves up with Roche after Roche.
Rubik Ghost Scepter already completed, I believe, or was that the
Yep.
Lion? It looked like also.
No, the Lion's got the Force Staff now.
Got
He
it.
did decide that was
This is a
superior
really
to
good
the Blink.
Ghost Scepter game. Aside
Yeah.
from the finger,
Mhm.
completely counters Death Prophet, Juggernaut.
Urn already up 2, and it's going to give them some of that sustain that they might have lacked in other ways.
Wow, the big smoke. Are they going straight into the pit? Yeah, looks like it. They still have the Stolen Exorcism. Oh, that's dirty.
Huh.
That is not a spell you see given away very often. And I don't even, like, Newbee are never going to expect this because this is not really a good Roche lineup. They also don't have vision, and who thinks about Stolen Exorcism?
Right, and he casts it like in the last 5 seconds. He actually has the spell stolen, so it's just
That's a freebie.
Yep.
That's a big play by the Avengers.
Jeez.
Avengers assemble.
I mean, it's not just the being able to get it up on the Medusa, but it's denying it to Newbie, and now they're not going to be able to pressure at all with it. That's just disastrous in every way. As bad as the early game went for Avengers, the mid game has gone that much worse for Newbie here.
There's the
there's a
Midas.
yeah.
26-minute comeback clock Midas. I mean, he's done his
So
job.
wait-
Like, there's nothing else he could get that's really that big. So
I
like it,
agree,
actually.
but it's so weird to have it after the blade mail. Like, oftentimes, in terms of, like, you look at item slots, how much those items cost, and the timing you get them, you're usually choosing between either blade mail or Midas.
But the blade mail won them some key fights. Like, that ruined the Death Prophet
Yeah.
in,
can.
I think, 2 engagements in a row. But yeah, you're right. It does feel a little strange to see it this late.
And I think that if you're going for that super late game, as we've been talking about, it just makes the most sense, absolutely. So, for me at least now, do you just try and double down on your pushing ability for Newbie? Do you want to try and itemize that way you're going to be able to take a fight after the Aegis goes down? What's the next objective here for Newbie? Is it trying to force fights after the Aegis dies?
Good smoke play, I think, is the key here. They're not going to be able to get a fair fight, especially into the Aegis, but just in general against CDEC right now. And now that Night Stalker is getting that Ags and getting that map control, they
Mid
have
lane,
to-
there's a charge on the Rubik. I think they're about to catch him out. I hear a hook shot as well. Chaos breaks out, and it looks like they might get 2 out of this. That would be very big. They do indeed, and then Flyby jumps in. He doesn't really care. Popping the Stone Gaze and really committing for this one. The stun from the high ground. Laguna trying to machine gun down this cow, but he can't quite do it. And in the end, will be forced back. Moo all of a sudden with the 2-hero silence. Flyby is going to have to retreat very carefully, and now the Lena's getting charged. Lena has the Yules, has no TP for 15 seconds. No, 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 not like this.
Aether Lens.
Just like that. She is in a lot of trouble.
Gonna-
Maybe can... Oh, no.
She's gone.
She dead.
She's gone. So Moo got 2 really good silences out there. The Cogs kind of set him up for the first one. It was double silence, and then in the chase got a 2-man one as well. So CDEC.A didn't really have any way to respond to that. And that's the kind of fight you have to take. Just one where you ignore the Medusa completely. You focus on the easier picks. And yeah, the Aegis on Medusa actually doesn't matter at all because they're not going to bother killing her even the first time in most cases. And obviously not with the Aegis. They're just going to fight and kill off everybody else. So good charge, good initiation, Newbie, equaling the kill score at the least.
I would like to see CDEC focus a little bit more on vision. They have the Ags on the Night Stalker. He's pretty high level. Night hits now. Get a gem if they don't already have one, and get some wards up.
Absolutely.
Getting caught mid the way they did was pretty avoidable if they had better vision, but the lack of wards really hurt them there.
God, Medusa going straight for that Eagle song afterwards. So
I mean,
No,
that's the
Scotty.
exact same build, huh?
I think so. It's incredibly strong, and everything that it's going to be able to give you the ability to keep those lanes pushed out and get away from the initial initiation.
Fly
Juggernaut
by.
also.
Fly by the cookie cutter carry.
I mean, if it works, right? That's what we were talking about. It just feels like they have all the answers. As the charge does come in, they're going to be able to pop the Lincolns. I don't know if they want to go in on
No,
this.
stop wasting spells on the Medusa. What is this?
She just laughs and goes back in, but Howe has found the backliners here. Spinning, does he have any real firepower to get the kills? Hokun's going to come through. They need to lock him down before he's able to get off an Omni Slash. He looks to re-engage. It's onto the Deuces. Still the Aegis is there, and Flyby continues to dish out damage at long last. They'll pop it, but it's stolen! Rubik again! Victoria, all hail! Looking for the openings, though. There's the mini Ravage from Chuan. Nicely played. Mu on the retreat, but about to get dunked. Victoria still holding that Omni. They're looking for additional kills. Death Prophet ult was wasted. Clock not able to really follow this up anymore with the hook already on cooldown, but they can push in now. And that's almost a butterfly complete.
This is ridiculous right here. The Rubik plays are just off the chain and consistently finding the spells that they need, because now not only are you going to be able to pressure with the threat. Oh, he jumps forward with the Blade Fury.
I would
Need to be
honestly,
careful.
I would say it's more sloppy than anything. The
They're
ultis,
just feeding him spells.
Yeah.
Let's be serious here.
and we're gonna see a big damage coming into Chuan.
Omni?
Nice little Surge Force is actually gonna get him away. He was very close. Like I think he was in Omni range at him for a split second, but
Yeah, it was
the
a
force
very
step.
short window to cast it.
anyways, either way, we have CDEC just large and in charge here, focusing so much on the Medusa when she was gonna have her Aegis down in a minute or so. Anyways, it's not the way you take that engagement.
They want to go back in. Hook is ready. Team is angry. And Newbee, oh, too late. That is a hero that cannot just be sitting outside the base. They smoke up on the high ground. They charge right back out mid, but little do they know that the entire Avengers squad is just calmly waiting. Well, now they get some news,
What?
but Juggernaut just got
No
machine
ancients
gunned
for you,
down.
sir.
Oh.
No buyback. Oh, actually, no, it does have it. 70 seconds, otherwise maybe forced to use it.
But that's going to completely cripple his farm if
You
he starts
definitely
to do it
push here
right
and try
now.
to force it.
Mhm.
Just be careful not to overcommit.
Only the Medusa should be in front. Everybody else should stay behind as support.
And Night Stalker just try to give some vision up the hill.
Yep.
And avoid Force Staff. Make sure you're facing the right direction so that Force Staff is not going to screw you over if Chuan makes a big play.
This is a big pickup as well. Butterfly ready. And no real counter for it at this stage, as a double damage Lena also will help out. Newbee could be on their last legs here in the Shanghai Major Qualifiers. They're going to charge, commit onto No-No. Decent vacuum, but the Yules was there to interrupt the Spirit Breaker initiation.
Exorcism!
And now the steals again! Victoria! God forbid this guy actually gets farm. Who knows what he might do to the likes of Newbee. There was a buyback on the Juggernaut, really forcing his way into this fight. The 3-hero stun coming out. Nicely done. Perhaps that will turn it. Fly by him against the world. Can he do it all by his lonesome? The Helium Ward keeps them alive, and they will be able to beat him down. 4 have fallen. Chuan with the big plays there. And Newbee able to salvage the base, the fight, and their position in the series.
Yeah, good call from Newbee there. They wanted to make sure they could force the engagement, charge, vacuum, wall, all that good stuff to make sure that once the buyback from Juggernaut comes out, that CDEC don't just walk away, that they are stuck in that fight and that the Juggernaut can actually do some really good damage. So he does get the good Omni Slash out, and they do kill the Rubik within about like 6 seconds of him using Exorcism. So
definitely.
although it's still another swag play coming in from Victoria, it's not a game-losing spell steal.
Well, and the other thing also there is that you are still doing the exorcism of your own as a Rubik into a Death Prophet exorcism. So being able to have that duration the entire time, everybody in the side of Avengers was just taking so much damage, and you were just able to have that sustain. Now, the thing that I'm wondering also is Mechanism. Is that an item that we're going to need to see coming up for Avengers? We've already got one up on the Darkseer. It feels to me like something like that could be a game changer here.
Now, Medusa's already so damn tanky that the Mechanism is just going to be a drop in the bucket for her effective HP. And Clockwork could technically look for it, but I really just think just getting more damage, more focus on this Death Prophet, any way to kill her is going to take the damage away from Newbee and effectively heal your team by killing her. So I think focusing on the Lena on all the damage she can get, the Clockwork on all the utility, the positioning control, Force Staff probably, is going to enable you to kill the hero that's dealing the damage and subsequently make sure that you don't need the Mechanism.
Well, now Roshan back up yet again. No Exorcism this time for Avengers to use to be able to take it. They're still thinking about going on in here, at least for the moment, as it does look like the rest of the side of the Newbie is moving over towards that mid lane and trying to posture at least a little bit. We haven't seen a gem come out as of yet, I don't believe, on the side of Avengers. But that does seem to probably be the next item pickup.
Yeah, if they don't already have one, they definitely should be buying a gem as soon as possible. It's just core when you have a Night Stalker with an eggs.
Totally.
There's a completed Scotty on Jug. So decent item pickups. It looks like a smoke. Yeah, Newbie on their way forward towards the Roche pit. Moo leads the way. September down in the pit. Gonna back out in the nick of time. All the way back to base, and now it does have the gem. I like the Ghost Scepter. Again, we talked about it already with the Rubik. Really good against Jug and Death Prophet. So I would like to see more Ghost Scepters. And yeah, maybe Chuan will kill one person who Ghost Scepters with Finger, but the rest of your team is still safe against the vast majority of the Avengers' damage. This is a bold maneuver by Newbie, and it seems it will pay off.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any way you can contest once the ghosts come out. And that was my big question, was were they going to commit that for this?
They know the Exorcism has been used. It's going to go on cooldown in the middle of this retreat. Maybe they try to force the fight, but the clock is all the way in the back of the Avenger formation, so not sure he can get there in time. But knowing Exorcism is on cooldown, even though there's an Aegis, they could potentially try for a smoke gank, maybe a tier 2.
Yeah, Juggernaut still hits pretty freaking hard with that Scotty and does have the Omni Slash up, but with all the Ghost Scepters is sort of the preeminent item that we've been talking about here. It does feel like there's an option at least.
They're moving. Avengers on the prowl. Who will they find? Night Stalker ultimate committed, and they are going to just roll right into the entire enemy squad. Laguna off the bat, the Slave's going to miss. Then again, Chuan with these multiple hero impales, completely changing the course of the fights, limiting the damage. They will lose a Spear Breaker, but could have been a whole lot worse.
Yeah, really, really rough there if they do end up trying to take a fight. I mean, the fact that Jug was already up in the top lane, if you fight right there, you just have to completely cut and run and let the Spear Breaker die. So nice play, nice smoke, good pick off there, and it doesn't really feel like either side is going to want to push again, at least until we get that DP ulti back up after they took Roshan.
So we will settle down a bit. A very topsy-turvy game. Wouldn't say either team is particularly bad at late game. It's going to come down primarily to the pickoffs. Newbie, more heroes that scale overall, I would say, with farm. Rubik could, but Rubik is, as much as he's had amazing spell steals, just not getting any farm priority whatsoever. Lina and Dusa are getting a lot, and then you've got your Clockwork, very poor at farming naturally. Night Stalker has got his basic toolkit, no Midas, and looks like he may go down here to house. So I think Newbie just are getting more of the farm they need to go into late game. It's going to come down to Avengers not getting picked off too much. September, not even doing anything fancy, just running through the trees kind of straightforwardly. And remember, it is nighttime, so they may have been slightly fogged and caught out, but they get the blink, the Hex. There's the Ghost Scepter, and Chuan says, screw it, man. Give him the old finger.
Got to secure the kill. Progression here towards the later stages here. Do you think Assault Cross could actually be good for the Medusa? I mean, she's got a lot of farm going for her. They're up against Omni Slash and the Exorcism. You talked about how good Ghost Scepter is, so I feel like AC, of both the positive and negative aspects of the item, could really come into play for CDEC.
Yeah, I like AC a lot. They're very reliant on physical damage outside the finger, so anything that mitigates that, to me, is a good pickup, as long as it's cost efficient for the team. Night Stalker is down, and they are trying to force the issue on the back of that. Flyby stands the ground, though, in the mid lane. Slow and steady mana burn. But the BKB is now picked up on Flyby, and this could be the item that allows them to get aggressive. Howl almost brought down off the bat, tries to spin his way out of here. Age is still online. Is going to retreat, and now a Death Prophet Exorcism committed. They're waiting for their opening. Clockwork Hook at the ready. All 5 alive. And they jump back in onto Flyby. Perhaps Chuan looking for the pick here. Gets the stun off the back. Not perfectly combined, but maybe Moo can get the job done with the Exorcism. Spotty on top of it all, popping the Ghost Scepter after the Blade Mail. Flyby being focused, but ever so tanky with the BKB. And now Hao might end up going down once, potentially twice here. Does have the Aegis available. They're diving too far, it feels like, onto the Tier 4 towers. Moo, again with the Spirit Siphon, doing everything he can to hold the line. And I guess Hao will be left and allowed to escape because of Moo's aggression.
They have an Omni Slash on the Rubik. Why doesn't he use it? There it goes, but it's just not going to help.
All right, Newbee. Seems they may have salvaged this. That should be the bottom lane of Rax. Dusa back to the well. Blake forward from Chuan, looking for a bit more. September. Caught out, back. And controlled as Flyby rejoins the fight, but he's on his own. No backup of any kind. Well, there's the Laguna. That's the backup, but not enough to save the Rax.
Well, now they're a little bit out of position. No more Exorcism up. Is there any way they can do it all? They just lift up the Medusa. Really well played there. Focus her last. She's still doing a ton of damage with the Manta-style illusions going to work, but I don't know if they're really going to be able to find anything. They do keep them out from taking a secondary.
Go, Hawkeye, go.
There.
Flutter Boys. They hook, and what do they get? They found themselves a nice little death profit.
Yeah, that's probably one of the best you can get in that situation. Iron Man on point with the final hook shot there, and they obviously are in a worse position due to losing their barracks. I feel the thing that Medusa is really lacking now is just straight damage. With Lincoln's Manta and BKB all being at least half defensive in nature, I really feel like this Medusa has to go for something big and heavy hitting next.
Would agree. MKB, Rapier, potentially. That was a really sloppy push by Newbee. Like, there's no need to dive Tier 4s there. Worked out okay in the end, but I think they could have just slow-rolled it, focused on objectives, avoided probably the Death Prophet death there towards the end, and that was a big gold swing. So, not over just yet. There's your MKB on Jug, though.
Yeah, I just feel like this Medusa it's taking too long to become really effective. Like, she had so much time to DPS in that fight, and it just kind of tickled half the heroes. The overall Newbee, the mechanism itemization, I think his Guardian Greaves now on the Darkseer is great, and just Flyby just can't do enough by himself.
Well, and also the Medusa being able to get out the first time through. The fact that they were able to sort of keep everybody else off of the Medusa. She brought that down so low, and then she was able to come back after getting regened in the well. Lina also bought back in that fight, so she lost a decent chunk of net worth, and right now at least it does feel like it's Medusa against the world to a large extent, and unless we start to see a bit more coming out from these other cores, it's going to be an issue.
Yeah, luckily with the BKB you don't have to worry about as much control from the Lion. Of course, Solar Crest and Halberd, those easy outs for disabling the one real damage dealer, are not going to be coming into play thanks to the BKB. But still, the Spearbreaker should be able to bring some control, and of course they certainly have ways of damaging Earth despite that magic immunity.
Apparently no items are suggested at this point in time, but it's all good as we...
What should I buy? Nothing can save you now.
Dual Scepter.
So sad.
Necum one. Is this just to be able to get away and keep yourself away from that Medusa arrows coming in, or do you think this is more to keep her up in the air and out of the fight?
Night Stalker Silence.
Yeah.
Pretty good against that. Good to prevent the Lina combo. You can just juggle yourself after she throws you up in the air.
Nah, legitimately, it's actually for when the Rubik inevitably steals another Omni Slash and you have to use self-fuels to survive.
Nah. All right. That's fair enough.
25,000 apiece on those big old cores. 23 to 22. No 2-2, 3-2-2 action as of yet, but across the board, that Shiva's Guard does feel like it's going to start to hit that much harder as well, and being able to slow down that attack speed of Medusa every little bit that they can to keep her off of them. Aether Lens, Aghanim Scepter, Dual Scepter. Is it ever worth it for the Medusa to go for a Ghost Scepter of her own here?
No, not at all. There's actually no way that could possibly be the right pick.
That was an easy question. Absolutely never.
I would refer to Lina's name here to answer your question.
Sounds good.
Nah.
No.
No.
No,
You imagine that, obviously, we know the mechanics, Exorcism, physical damage. You imagine Ghost Scepter wouldn't really be that good against it, you know? It's Ghost, you're ethereal. They're going to fuck you up anyways.
You're going to their place now. You're going onto their plane.
This could be the smoke that ends the game. Let's see. And they immediately run the hell away. Okay. Hoping, I think that Avengers walk down into the mid lane where they have the high ground advantage. They do have a ward planted. And now just a headlong, frantic retreat out of the dire jungle.
That was a very sad ancient creep right there.
Divine, divine, divine.
It ain't Radiance. Damn sure.
The darkness is still up. Probably the main reason why we saw them back there. But let's see if they try to walk into the pit. Divine could be game-changing. Doesn't quite have it yet, though. Really wants this Aegis to help secure it. Illusion's walking in to start things off. September is the man in front right now. The Roche drops low, and there's the hook. This could be a great sacrifice, and they commit onto him. Will be able to get the kill. Now the clockwork down, buying back immediately. Dusa is going to stand her ground, pops the BKB, goes to work. The Omni Slash solely hitting Flyby. What a godly Omni Slash. Kills him off once. Everybody's still alive. That's pretty much all she wrote.
Yeah, he should have just ran to the secret shop and grabbed the Demon Edge and just either decide to go absolutely YOLO or just run for the hills. But standing there, losing the Aegis, it's just an absolute disaster. The MKB on the Juggernaut, all that physical damage coming in.
And literally hit nothing but Dusa the
All right.
entire
Exactly.
Courier going right now to the secret shop, it looks like. Or actually down to the Roche pit.
Yeah.
Had to buy back, so no longer
The
enough
buyback,
gold.
yeah, she's out of divine range because of the buyback.
I thought for a second there with the DD they were going to be able to do something, but unfortunately wearing off after she ended up being able to pick off Roshan. And now just knocking on the front door here are the tier 3s, and doesn't really feel like they're in a great position to defend this in the least bit. Although it is worth noting, DP ulti's still down. So
But that's still 2 lanes of racks, and the Juggernaut's working on the 3rd.
absolutely.
That's 3.
That's pretty much
That's going to be Mega Creeps. Divine is literally the only way.
even then. Going to be very tough. The hook is there. Chuan with the 4-step back. Do they continue pursuit? Shiva slowing things down, and there's the vac. Charge. Getting interrupted. Now, I think canceled it and then got lifted. And now tries for the cheese TP out. Oh, barely escaped.
Delicious.
Oh, God, that hurts. You wanted that one.
Cheese, even tastier than mangoes.
I've been saving for a rapier. Just like trying to farm a rapier at this point is... Newbee will push in all the lanes and just suicide for your throne, I think.
Octarine up on DP. Ain't a whole hell of a lot that's going to be left to save him at this point in time. And
So the Lincoln Sphere to buy your rapier, like that item's so bad right now. I actually think that CDEC would be in a significantly better position if he had not bothered with the Lincoln Sphere. Like, Scotty is such a huge item, but look at his mana pool. He's got not even 1,400 mana. If he had a Scotty, he'd have significantly more mana. He wouldn't be killed off so conveniently by Newbee's duo. Obviously, there's a lot more problems than just itemization here, but man.
Here comes the big fight. Omni Slash not really effective against the Ghost Scepter. Now Flyby gets to do a bit of work. Doesn't have the rapier just yet, unfortunately. And now Exorcism coming out will be stolen. I attempted anyway,
Yeah,
but how much is it going to do, really, as Victoria's silenced and almost immediately dealt with as just a sliver of HP run down by the Death Prophet Ghosts. Flyby could well be next, surrounded and dead, and there's the GG.
well, shit's rough.
There were a lot of problems with CDEC going into the last 15 minutes of this game. Just in general, like how the fights all started off was very Newbee favored. There was no really key initiation. Even like the Aghanim Scepter for the Night Stalker actually seemed to be the tipping point the other way, which is really odd because you have so much more vision information, the means to initiate the fights and take the right engagements with this Night Stalker Aghanim Scepter, and yet every single fight went wrong, and every single time there were quick picks on the heroes that needed to stay alive, and then from there they were able to just isolate the Medusa and make her pretty useless. She was too defensive, didn't do enough damage, and I guess the Midas didn't even pay off for the clockwork. We talked about the late game progression, but sitting on Ghost Scepter and 2 stat items, like that's not actually helping your progress at all.
And he had a Midas for like 20 minutes, so yeah, that's pretty useless.
Well, that's going to do it for Game 2. Game 3 coming up in just a couple of seconds here. I feel like both of the games that we saw were sort of a bit of stomps. There was a trading that went on in the sort of early and then mid-game for that Game 2, but hopefully we're going to end up seeing not a Medusa in the next one. What are you guys' thoughts on the hero?
I mean, I wouldn't hope for it. If they feel like they can fix the issues that we saw in Game 2, then draft what you feel is right. They second pick the Medusa because they felt that flyby could just carry them to victory once again. I would say it's probably not worth a Phase 1 pick, but I'm not saying just screw that strategy entirely just because Newbee were able to play around it this time around.
Yeah, I think Deuce is still pretty. I don't think Deuce is a game-winning pick, but it can work for their style. It's more they just have to have better fights. They didn't. We mentioned they got the Night Stalker eggs. They didn't really deward at all with it. Then they bought a gem, but it was after they'd lost some big fights. Like, you get eggs, you should instantly have a gem. You should be working as a team to get wards up and deward them, and then you automatically are going to have the edge in most fights. But they didn't take advantage of that, and then when they got a gem, they immediately lost the fight before they could really do any dewarding.
No. Well, we'll see who's going to move on to face IGV in the final spot for the Shanghai Major. This is the qualifiers for said same tournament, and we'll be right back in a second.